What's up, guys? So here is the video a ton of people have asked me for in the last 2 months of owning this truck. What did I pay for my 2022 TRD Pro, and what did I get for my 2020 Platinum trade that we built here on the channel? I'm going to break it down for you, tell you exactly what we paid, and I'm going to kind of touch on my opinion about this whole market thing that we're living in now with market adjustments and blah, blah, blah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. All right, so first off, I'm going to start this by saying my deal was a little bit unique, and what I mean by that is it was a two-car deal. So we bought my wife a 2022 Highlander XSE at the same time that I reserved this TRD Pro. So Toyota knew they were kind of getting two cars from us, or two deals from us, I guess. So they were willing to work with me a little bit on the deal between the two vehicles. So with that being said, I'm just going to throw it out there and get it out of the way. Did I pay a market adjustment on this TRD Pro? Yes, I did. A $10,000 markup is what I paid. Now, before you shut the video off and run down in the comments and blah, 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 and start rambling on like I've seen in these forums, which to me is mind-blowing and absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, hear me out, and I'm going to explain the deal that we got and why I was okay with paying that $10,000 markup. All right, so let's break the numbers down for you, and hopefully this will make sense. So let's start with, again, I mentioned the 10K markup on the Tundra. So we paid, I actually got out my paperwork here, so I give you the correct information. MSRP was $69,749. I got it for $79,749. Those are the numbers right off my paperwork here. All right, so that's what we paid for the TRD Pro. The Highlander that I mentioned that we got for my wife. This was, again, stick with me with this video because you're going to understand why I was okay with the 10K markup on the truck. Hopefully it'll all make sense in the end. The Highlander, what they did was because we basically purchased two vehicles at the same time, even though I had to wait for the Pro to be built. It wasn't even built when we bought the Highlander. But I reserved it, put a deposit down, blah, blah, blah. They were able to work with us on the Highlander price. The Tundra, they said, you know, the markup is what it is. They weren't really willing to budge on that. But the Highlander, they had more wiggle room with because it's not as popular, you know, that kind of thing. So they took $5,000 off the Highlander for my wife. So I paid 10K markup on the Tundra, the TRD Pro, but they knocked $5K off the Highlander because we were doing a two-car deal. They would not have taken that $5K off. When I first walked into Toyota, I actually went there that day to pick out a car for my wife. They weren't budging on that price. When I talked with my salesman, who's actually a friend, we grew up together. I've known him since we were kids. You know, when we got talking and I found out there was the Pro coming in, and I actually made a video about it. There was a Pro and a Capstone coming in that were unreserved. I had my pick. So when I decided to go with the Pro, and Toyota realized it was going to be a two-car deal, they were willing to work on the Highlander price. Again, Tundra, they wouldn't work with me on it, but they took $5K off the Highlander for my wife. So I paid 10K markup on the TRD Pro, but they knocked $5K off the Highlander. Okay, so basically in my eyes, we're pretty much down to a $5K markup on the Tundra on the TRD Pro. Now, the next thing is the trade values. And I know this is part of the reason a lot of people wanted me to make this video. They really wanted to see what I got for my 2020 Platinum that we built on this channel here and how it affected the deal and the trade, basically the trade deal, the trade value, I should say. So the other part of the reason we were completely okay with this deal and the markup on the Tundra, guys, they gave us a ton for my wife had a 2019 RAV4. You guys probably saw this on the channel. I ceramic coated it, got it a year or two ago. But anyway, 2019 RAV4 is what we traded in. Hers was a lease. My 2020 Platinum originally was a lease, but I ended up buying it out. So what they did, let's start with my Tundra, my 2020 Platinum. I paid $54,000 for that truck. It was it was 3 years old and it had over 50,000 miles on it. They gave me over $45,000 back for that truck. Just keep that in mind because I'm going to stress this and make a point at the end. So that's what I got for my 2020 Platinum. They gave me over $45K for my 2020 Platinum. The RAV4 was a lease. So I'm sure if you guys are familiar with leases, at the end of a lease, they have a buyout value. They gave us over $4,000 for a trade over, I can't remember the exact number, but just to make the math simple, let's say that buyout price at the end of the RAV4 lease, let's just say it was $25,000. It wasn't, but it was somewhere in that ballpark. They gave us over $4,000 more than that value. So I say that to say this. If before you go just writing off dealers that are charging market adjustments, and I'm going to make a couple points here, but the first one I want to make is before you go writing dealers off like that, talk with them and see if what they're willing to do for you. Why I say that is when I originally started looking for a TRD Pro, I wanted a solar octane. My local dealer, the guy I grew up with, they didn't have any solar octanes coming in. I pretty much had my heart set on a solar octane. I started shopping around. I talked to dealers in Pennsylvania, my home state. I talked to dealers out of state. Talked to dealers that had no markup, had some markup, had a 10K markup, had a 20K markup. I was all over the board. I just wanted to see what the options were. The dealers, perfect example is a dealer that was here in my home state, about 2 hours away from me. They had no markup. They had a Solar Octane Pro that I could have reserved, no markup. They were selling at MSRP. But they wanted to give me $6,000 less for my 2020 Platinum on the trade. So you have to take all things into consideration when you're doing these deals. That's just one example. I also talked to other dealers in different states that had the 10K markup and they still wanted to give me, the one gave me a quote of $42,000 for my 2020 Platinum trade. Again, my local dealer gave me over 45. So don't just write dealers off that have these market adjustments. Now, I do understand there are needles in a haystack out there that are charging MSRP, but will still give you top dollar for your trade. They are few and far between, guys. And if you're willing to search high and low to find those dealers, or if you have one next to you, more power to you. That is awesome. Good for you. But they are a needle in the haystack, and chances are you just got extremely lucky if you found especially a higher trim like a TRD Pro or Capstone or one of the higher trims at MSRP in a dealer that's still going to give you top dollar for your trade. Talk with them, see what they have to offer, and see what kind of deal you can work out. Now, if you've come across a dealer that's charging these market adjustments, and again, I talked to a couple that were not really giving you top dollar for your trade, yeah, those are the ones you want to avoid like the plague. But not all dealers are doing that. If they're going to give you top dollar for your trade and then charge a market adjustment, how is that not okay with you? Like that's the part I don't get. Like nobody likes these market adjustments. I get that. But if they're going to give you way more for your trade than you would have gotten 3 years ago before this market went crazy, it evens out. Like that's common sense. Like that's not debatable. That's fact. So that's the part I really don't get when I see these people in the forums just going off. Oh, any dealer charging market adjustments, they're pathetic, blah, blah, blah. Some of them, yeah, I would agree with you. Some of them are ridiculous and they're just greedy. But if you can find a dealer that was willing to work with you like mine did with me, I paid a markup on the Tundra, but trade values that they gave us on both vehicles and the fact that they knocked $5K off the new Highlander for my wife, that more than takes care of the 10K markup that I paid on the Tundra. All right. So that's, and the last thing I'm going to say here, the last point I want to make with this whole crazy market that we're living in, I look at it like the housing market. And hopefully you guys are still with me. I don't want to ramble on in this video because there is so much I want to say about these market adjustments and these conversations I see in the forums that are mind-blowing to me. But anyway, the housing market is relatively similar. And I can speak from experience because when we bought this new place last June, the house that we sold, we sold it for more than double of what we paid for it 7 years prior because of the market. So as much as you might not like the market and that term or, and what that implies, it is what it is. The house that we bought, and this is literally a kind of a perfect example. We got lucky with the house that we bought. We sold the old house for more than double of what we paid for it 7 years prior. The new one that we purchased, we got lucky. It was right time, right place. We actually bought the new house for almost $50,000 less than what it was appraised at. It was a unique situation. So it's one of those needle in the haystack type things that I'm talking about with the Tundras. If you can find a deal like that, more power to you. 99% of people aren't going to be able to find that type of deal. So it drives me crazy because I'm going to kind of end the video with this. So you guys got the numbers. I paid a 10K markup on the Tundra. I told you about the deal we got on the Highlander. They knocked 5K off the MSRP price of the Highlander for us. And then the trade values, I told you, they gave me over 45K for my 2020 Platinum. And they gave, I can't remember the exact number on the RAV4, but it was over 4,000 of what that number at the end of the lease was. Now, I'm ending the video with this. If you have to go on social media and bash people who are paying market adjustments or whatever the case may be, listen, my wife and I work our butts off to be able to afford the nice things that we have. You should not care how I spend my money. It's that simple. When I see people in these social media forums just bashing people for paying market adjustments, literally like belittling them, man, to me, you know, I've said this in a lot of my videos on this channel, to each their own. Live and let live. If you are doing something that doesn't directly affect me and or my family, I don't care. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I literally, I don't understand why people have to go on these forums and just trash people for what they're doing with their money. Help me understand that, because I don't get that. Like, if you're one of these people who are going to go on social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and bash people for how they're spending their money that they worked for, help me understand that. I don't get that. You may not agree with it, and that's okay. We can all have different opinions, and, you know, we don't have to agree on whether market adjustments are okay and not okay and blah, 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 blah. But don't be ignorant about it. It literally makes me laugh, because last thing I'm going to say is, if you are one of those people that are bashing people, other people, for spending their hard-earned money, you got bigger problems than market adjustments on any vehicle out there. To me, it's just pathetic. It really is. And that's just where I stand on it. I will never, you know, I may differ in opinion from you, but I will never try to downgrade you or trash talk you for something that you're doing with your money. I don't understand that for the life of me. I'm going to leave the video with that. If you guys have any questions on the deal that I got or whatever, there's not much more to it. You know, I pretty much told you, you know, the numbers I gave you on what we got with both vehicles. But if you have any questions, put them down below. And again, I know I said this a couple of times, but last thing I'm going to say is, any ignorant, you can, again, go down below, comment below, let me know what you think. If you agree with me, disagree. We can disagree or agree all day long. But if you are disrespectful or ignorant in the comments below, I will just delete it. I don't do that on my videos. You know, I like to hear everybody's opinion. But this topic, man, this really kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I just don't understand how people can be ignorant over something that doesn't directly affect them. If you don't like these market adjustments, hang in there. The market will readjust and settle down. You'll be able to get a truck for what you want to pay for it. If you're okay with them, go out and get your dream truck. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you letting me ramble on for a little bit. Any questions on the deal or anything that we talked about in this video, put them down below. We'll get them addressed. Appreciate you guys watching as always. We'll see you on the next one. GoPro, stop recording.